There is a version of you that you have never met. A version so powerful, so capable, that the thought of it fills you with a quiet, unnamed dread. You feel it sometimes, like a flicker of lightning on the edge of your mind, a hint of a sleeping giant within. This isn't a story about success or failure as you know it. This is a story about the terrifying, brilliant light you've been hiding from, and why the greatest obstacle in your life is your own unlocked potential. We are taught to build a safe life, a comfortable life. We are given a blueprint: get the good job, earn the respect of others, follow the well-trodden path. This blueprint promises security and happiness. It asks you to construct a perfect, polished version of yourself to show the world. This carefully crafted identity, this mask, becomes your fortress against judgment and chaos. It feels safe, it feels smart, it feels like the only way to live. This mask is your public face, your persona. It's the friendly neighbor, the dedicated employee, the responsible citizen. It's everything you are supposed to be. Society rewards you for wearing it well. You receive validation, you get promotions, you accumulate likes and followers. From the outside, your life looks like a perfect picture of success. You have followed all the rules, and you are getting all the rewards. So why does something feel so profoundly wrong? The problem is that a fortress is also a prison. You spend so much energy maintaining this perfect exterior that you forget who lives inside. The mask is not you. It is a tiny, curated fraction of you. It is the part of you that is agreeable, predictable, and tame. You have built your life on a foundation that excludes the most interesting, powerful, and authentic parts of your being. This carefully constructed world is orderly, but it has no room for your soul to breathe. We mistake this cage of comfort for happiness. We believe that by eliminating risk, suppressing our messier impulses, and fitting in, we are achieving peace. We trim away the wild branches of our personality to fit into a neat, socially acceptable box. This is the great lie we tell ourselves, that shrinking ourselves down will make us more loved, more secure, and more content. We learn to fear our own depth, believing the shallows are safer. This fear of our own inner wilderness is the beginning of our problem. We become afraid of what we might do if we were truly free. We fear the passions we suppress, the anger we bury, the ambitions we dismiss as unrealistic. We are not truly afraid of failing in the world. We are secretly afraid of the immense power we hold within us. A power that could shatter the comfortable, predictable life we have worked so hard to build. So you stay in the job you tolerate but don't love. You stay in relationships that are safe but unfulfilling. You nod and agree in conversations where you want to scream. Every choice is designed to maintain the mask, to keep the peace, to avoid disturbing the quiet order of your life. You are the warden of your own prison, diligently checking the locks and reinforcing the walls, all while a part of you silently begs for escape. This is the life built on the fear of potential. It is a life of quiet desperation, disguised as contentment. It's the feeling of walking on a treadmill, moving your legs furiously, but never actually going anywhere. You are busy, you are productive, you are doing everything you're supposed to do. Yet, you feel a growing emptiness, a sense that the person living your life is an imposter, and the real you is trapped somewhere deep inside, watching. This comfortable lie is exhausting. Holding up the mask day after day, suppressing your true feelings, and ignoring the call of your deeper self takes a tremendous toll. It manifests as anxiety you can't explain, a melancholy that settles in during quiet moments, a constant low-level hum of dissatisfaction. Your soul knows that it is being starved, and it is sending you signals of distress, signals that are becoming harder and harder to ignore. You look in the mirror and you see the successful person, the good person, the person everyone approves of, but you don't feel their success. You don't feel their peace. You only feel the weight of the character you are playing. The gap between who you are pretending to be and who you truly are is becoming a chasm. And into this chasm, the first whispers of a terrifying truth begin to echo, threatening the entire structure you've built. Then the unraveling begins. It starts subtly. You have a dream that you can't shake, one filled with wild landscapes and powerful beasts. Or you feel a sudden, overwhelming urge to quit your job and run away. These are not random glitches in your programming. These are messages from the forgotten parts of you. It is your true self, locked in the dungeon of your psyche, beginning to rattle the cage. It is trying to get your attention. You start to see glimpses of it in the waking world. A reflection in a shop window as you walk by doesn't show your polished self, but a darker, more intense figure for just a second. You hear a piece of music that stirs a powerful, forgotten emotion inside you, an emotion that doesn't fit with your carefully managed personality. These are incursions from your own inner world, cracks in the prison wall through which your true nature is peeking. Carl Jung called this other self the shadow. It is the vault where you have stored everything about yourself that you deemed unacceptable: your anger, your ambition, your wild creativity, your vulnerability, your raw power. It is not evil. The shadow is not your enemy. It is simply the part of you that was rejected in order to build your socially acceptable persona. It is the untamed part of your soul. The more you ignore the shadow, the louder it gets. Your anxiety is the shadow banging on the door. Your inexplicable sadness is the shadow weeping in itself. Your sudden bursts of rage are the shadow trying to break free. By pushing these parts of yourself into the darkness, you don't destroy them. You only make them more desperate, more distorted, and more likely to erupt in ways you cannot control. You are haunted by your own disowned self. The perfect life you built begins to feel like a stage play where you've forgotten your lines. The praise of others feels hollow. The material comforts feel empty. The daily routines become meaningless rituals. This is the inevitable consequence of living an inauthentic life. The soul cannot be sustained on a diet of conformity and approval. It craves the raw, messy, powerful truth of its own nature. The emptiness you feel is a hunger for your real self. This is the first moment of true doubt. You begin to question the blueprint. What if the path to happiness isn't about being more perfect, but about becoming more whole? What if the things you've been running from are the very things you need to find? This is a terrifying thought, because it means the life you've built, the identity you've perfected, is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of who you are. The lie promises that if you just keep polishing your mask, one day you will be happy. But now you see the truth. The mask is the source of your misery. It separates you from your own strength. It cuts you off from your own vitality. It is a barrier between you and the world, and more importantly, a barrier between you and yourself. The fortress you built to protect you has done its job too well. It has protected you from your own life. What happens if you stop pretending? What happens if you let a little of the shadow out? You have been taught that it would be chaos, that you would be rejected, that your world would fall apart. So you cling to the persona, even as it suffocates you. You double down on being agreeable. You work harder at the job you dislike. You smile wider, all in a desperate attempt to silence the growing roar from within. The chains that were once invisible are now painfully obvious. You feel them every time you silence your own opinion to keep the peace. You feel them every time you say yes, when your whole being screams no. These are the chains of self-suppression, forged link by link with every choice made out of fear instead of authenticity. They are heavy, they are cold, and they are keeping you from ever reaching your true potential. You begin to realize that the approval you've been chasing is a trap. Seeking validation from others means you are letting them define the boundaries of your existence. You have given them the power to tell you who you are and what you are allowed to be. To become yourself, you must be willing to withdraw that power. You must be willing to disappoint people, to be misunderstood, to walk a path that others may not approve of. The fear is palpable now. The life you knew is becoming unstable. The comfortable numbness is being replaced by a sharp, clear anxiety. This is the crisis point. You can either retreat back into the lie, trying to patch the mask and ignore the rattling chains, or you can turn and face the source of the noise. You can turn and face the darkness you have spent your entire life running from. The choice is terrifying, but for the first time, it feels like a real choice. You realize that being normal or well-adjusted to a sick society is not a measure of health. Conforming to a world that encourages you to be a fraction of yourself is a recipe for soul sickness. The goal is not to fit in better. The goal is to become so completely yourself that you no longer need to fit in. To become an individual, whole and integrated, even if it means standing alone. The emptiness isn't a sign that you are broken, it's a sign that you are ready. It's the space created by the crumbling of the false self. It is a vacuum, waiting to be filled by something real, something true. The despair you feel is not the end. It is the prelude to a profound rebirth. It is the dark, fertile soil from which your true potential is finally ready to grow. You have to fall apart to be reassembled correctly. The first step is honesty, a brutal, painful honesty. You must admit to yourself that you have been living a lie. You must acknowledge the mask you wear. You must confess the fear that has been driving your decisions. This confession is not a moment of weakness, but the first act of true strength. It is the moment you stop running from the truth and allow it to enter the room. What if your potential isn't about achieving more, but about becoming more? Not more successful in the eyes of the world, but more you. More of the messy, contradictory, passionate, and powerful being you were born to be. The unraveling you feel isn't you losing your mind. It is your mind, your whole being, finally starting to find itself after being lost for so long. You start to see the persona for what it is, a tool, not an identity. A tool that has become overgrown and has taken over the workshop. The pain you feel is the friction between this rigid tool and your expanding soul. The system is overloaded. The mask can no longer contain the person growing underneath it. The lie is collapsing under the weight of your own hidden truth. This process feels like a loss. You are losing the approval of some people. You are losing the certainty of your old life. You are losing the comfort of your familiar prison. But what you are truly losing is your illusion. You are shedding a skin that was never yours to begin with. It is a necessary death. The death of the imposter you've been playing, to make way for the arrival of the king. The world tells you to fear your darkness, to medicate your sadness, to suppress your anger. But Jung's wisdom offers a different path. It asks you to turn toward these things with curiosity. It asks, what is this sadness trying to tell me? What power lies hidden in my anger? What truth is my anxiety pointing to? The things you fear are not monsters to be slain, but messengers to be heard. This is the turning point, the moment of radical acceptance. You stop fighting the shadow. You stop running from the feelings you've deemed negative. You stop trying to be a perfect, polished stone. Instead, you accept that you are a vast, wild landscape, with sunlit peaks, but also dark valleys and raging rivers. And you realize that the valleys and rivers are just as much a part of your beauty and strength as the peaks. You are on the precipice of the core revelation. The journey through the comfortable lie and the painful unraveling has led you here, to the threshold of a truth that will change everything. The question is no longer, how can I be happy? The question has become, who am I really? And you are finally ready to listen for the answer, no matter how startling it may be. The real journey is about to begin. Here is the truth that turns your world upside down. You are not afraid of the dark parts of yourself. You are afraid of their light. You are not afraid of your weakness. You are terrified of your own immense strength. The potential you fear is the raw, untamed, magnificent power that you have locked away in your shadow. Because you know, instinctively, that if you unleash it, your small, safe life will be changed forever. Think of the gold that miners seek. It isn't found in manicured gardens or brightly lit city streets. It is found deep in the earth, in the darkness, encased in rough, worthless-looking rock. Jung taught that the same is true for the human soul. The most precious parts of you, your greatest treasures of creativity, passion, and strength, are found in the darkness of the shadow that you have been taught to fear and avoid. The goal is not to defeat the shadow. You cannot win a war against yourself. The goal is integration. It is to turn and face that powerful dark figure and to recognize it as a lost part of you. It is to listen to its anger, to understand its ambitions, to embrace its wildness. It is to bring the rejected parts of yourself back into the whole. This is the great work of becoming an individual. When you integrate a piece of your shadow, you reclaim its power. The anger you suppressed becomes the fuel for passionate action to fight injustice. The ambition you dismissed as selfish becomes the drive to create something magnificent. The vulnerability you hid becomes the capacity for deep, authentic connection. The monster you feared becomes your greatest ally, its power now guided by your conscious mind. This is why you were so afraid. It's not the fear of failure, it's the fear of responsibility. To wield that kind of power means you can no longer make excuses. You can no longer blame your circumstances. You can no longer hide in the comfort of mediocrity. To accept your potential is to accept the awesome responsibility of using it. It is easier to pretend you are a pawn than to admit you are a king or queen. Imagine a lion that has been told its whole life that it is a sheep. It lives in a flock, eats grass, and bleats quietly to fit in. It is miserable, weak, and confused. Then one day, it hears its own roar. The fear it feels is not the fear of a predator. It is the existential terror of realizing it is not a sheep at all. It is the fear of its own true nature and the end of the only life it has ever known. Your potential is that roar. It is the call to cast off the sheep's clothing of your persona. It is the realization that you are not meant for the quiet pasture of conformity. You are built for the wild, for the hunt, for the magnificent and terrifying freedom of the savannah. To answer that call is to abandon the safety of the flock and to finally claim your own power and your own domain. So you must stop asking, what does the world want from me? That is the question of the persona. The question of the integrated individual is, what is within me that wants to be born? What truth do I need to speak? What creation is demanding to be made through me? This shifts the center of your universe from the outside world to your own inner world. The key to unlocking your potential is not a magic formula or a 7-step plan. It is courage. The courage to look into the abyss of your own psyche. The courage to embrace the parts of you that you have been taught to hate. The courage to be disliked, to be different, to be whole rather than to be good. This courage is the master key that opens the chest you carry in your heart. When you take that key, you are making a pact with yourself. You are agreeing to no longer live a divided life. You are choosing wholeness over perfection. You are choosing authenticity over approval. This is the moment of true liberation, not from any external force, but from the internal prison you built for yourself out of fear. The walls don't crumble. You simply realize they were an illusion all along. The integration of the shadow brings balance. It's not about letting your anger run wild. It's about channeling its energy constructively. It's not about being selfish. It's about honoring your own needs so you can give to the world from a place of fullness, not deficit. The integrated person is not a monster. They are a complete human being, capable of both immense love and righteous anger, gentleness and unbreakable strength. The fear of your potential was the fear of this wholeness. It was the fear of being truly alive, with all the messiness and intensity that entails. You preferred the predictable quiet of the persona to the dynamic symphony of the complete self. But now you see that true peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to hold opposing forces within you in a creative, balanced tension. This is the death of the nice guy or the good girl. Not a death of kindness, but a death of obligatory, fearful niceness. You no longer act from a place of I should. You act from a place of I am. Your actions become authentic expressions of your integrated self, not performative gestures to win approval. This is terrifying to the parts of you that have survived on that approval for so long. Now, you understand. The potential locked in your shadow is the energy you need to create the life you were meant to live, not the life you were told to want. It is the fire that forges your own path, rather than walking the worn-out road of the masses. The fear was a signpost, pointing directly to the place where your greatest treasure was buried. Embracing your shadow doesn't make you dark. It makes you luminous. When you own your darkness, it can no longer control you from the shadows. You bring it into the light of your consciousness, where you can understand it, learn from it, and use its power for good. A person who is not afraid of their own darkness is a person who shines with an unshakable, authentic light. The ultimate revelation is this: you are more vast, more powerful, and more complex than you have ever allowed yourself to be. The fear of your potential was simply your ego's fear of being dissolved into this larger, truer self. It was the gatekeeper trying to protect its small territory, not realizing that beyond the gate lay an entire kingdom that belonged to it. The journey inward is the most heroic journey you can take. It is to be the explorer of your own soul, the cartographer of your own inner world, to map your shadows and your light, to discover the lost continents of your being. This is the path of individuation, the path of becoming who you were always meant to be. Your potential is not some final destination you arrive at. It is the very process of this journey. It is the continual unfolding of your authentic self. It is the courage to keep integrating, to keep growing, to keep becoming more of who you are. The fear never completely goes away. You just get better at walking with it, understanding that it is the companion of anything worthwhile. So when you feel that fear, that dread of your own power, recognize it for what it is. It is a call to adventure. It is an invitation from your soul to take the next step in your own evolution. It is the threshold guardian, testing your resolve before you are allowed to enter the next chamber of your own magnificent heart. The fear was a lie. The safety was an illusion. The real you is not the mask, but the vast and powerful being that wears it. Your true work in this life is not to please the crowd, but to achieve an agreement between your conscious mind and the vast, hidden forces within. This is the secret to unlocking the potential you have been so afraid of. Now begins the path of transformation. Embracing this truth is one thing, living it is another. This is not a path of ease. It is a path of struggle, courage, and relentless self-discovery. It means choosing the hard, authentic yes over the easy, compliant no. It means walking a road that will often be lonely, because it is a road that only you can travel. There will be moments of doubt. The ghosts of your old fears will return. The temptation to put the mask back on and return to the safety of the flock will be immense. People who were comfortable with the old you may not understand the new you. They may call you selfish or strange. This is the price of admission for a life of authenticity. You must be willing to be misunderstood. But with this struggle comes a new kind of strength, not the brittle strength of a rigid persona, but the flexible, resilient strength of a deeply rooted tree. You are no longer swayed by the winds of public opinion. Your sense of self-worth no longer comes from external validation, but from the solid ground of your own integrated soul. You are your own anchor in the storms of life. The easy life of conformity leads to a slow, spiritual death. It is a gray, predictable existence, devoid of true color or passion. The hard life of integration, while filled with challenges, is vibrant and alive. Every struggle is meaningful. Every step taken in authenticity deepens your connection to yourself and to life itself. You choose the pain of growth over the pain of stagnation. You learn to use the tools of your shadow consciously. When you feel anger, you don't suppress it or explode. You ask what boundary has been crossed and use its energy to defend that boundary with calm strength. When you feel ambition, you don't dismiss it. You ask what great thing wants to be built, and you channel that drive into creative work. You become the master of your own inner fire. This transformation brings a profound sense of inner peace, not the peace of numbness, but the peace of wholeness. It is the feeling of coming home to yourself after a long exile. The constant, draining inner conflict between your persona and your shadow ceases. There is a quiet harmony within you because all the parts of you are finally acknowledged, respected, and working together. Your relationships change. You are no longer drawn to people who only love your mask. You begin to attract others who are also on a path of authenticity. Your connections become deeper, more honest, and more meaningful. You can be your whole self with them, shadow and all, and they can be their whole selves with you. You find your true tribe not by fitting in, but by standing out. The world itself seems to transform. It's not that the world has changed, but your perception of it has. You see the beauty in imperfection. You find wisdom in struggle. You are no longer afraid of the messy, unpredictable nature of life because you have embraced the messy, unpredictable nature of yourself. You are in sync with reality rather than trying to force reality to fit your fears. This path has no end. Individuation is a lifelong process. There are always deeper layers of the shadow to explore, new strengths to integrate, and higher levels of wholeness to achieve. The goal isn't to arrive at a perfect static state of enlightenment. The goal is the journey itself, the endless, fascinating, and rewarding process of becoming more and more yourself. Your life gains a sense of purpose that was impossible before. Your purpose is not a job title or a social role. It is the expression of your unique, integrated self in the world. Whatever you do, whether you are an artist, a parent, a scientist, or a carpenter, you do it with the full force of your being. Your life itself becomes your great work of art. You find freedom, not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to be who you are. You are free from the need for approval. You are free from the fear of judgment. You are free from the prison of your own persona. This is the only freedom that truly matters, and it is a freedom that no one can ever take from you, because it is generated from within. You look back at the person you were, the one who lived in the comfortable cage, and you don't feel judgment, but compassion. You understand they were doing the best they could with the knowledge they had. You honor their fear, because it was the starting point of your great journey. You had to be a prisoner to truly appreciate the meaning of freedom. The struggle was necessary. The pain was a teacher. The darkness was a womb. Every difficult step on the path of transformation was a chisel, carving away the stone that was not you, revealing the magnificent sculpture that was always waiting underneath. You realized that the obstacle was indeed the way. The fear of your potential was the very thing that forced you to finally discover it. This is the reward for facing your fear. It is not fame or fortune. It is a quiet, unshakable sense of self. It is the ability to stand in the storm and be the calm. It is the power that comes from deep self-knowledge and radical self-acceptance. It is the life you earn when you stop running from yourself and start embracing everything you are. The journey from the lie to the truth is complete. You started as a character in a play written by society, and you have become the author of your own story. You have faced the dragon of your inner darkness and discovered that it was guarding the greatest treasure of all, your own authentic, powerful, and undivided self. Now we bring this journey back to you. That feeling you have, that quiet dread when you think about your true potential, is not a warning sign to retreat. It is a homing beacon. It is your soul telling you where the gold is buried. The very thing you are most afraid to do, the part of you that you are most afraid to show, is the key to the life you are meant to live. Look at the mask you wear, the persona you show to the world. Acknowledge it, thank it for protecting you, and then gently ask yourself, who am I when I am not performing? What parts of me have I exiled to the shadows out of fear? What would I do if I were not afraid of being too much, too loud, too powerful, or too different? The answers will be the first steps on your own path. This is not a call to abandon your responsibilities and live recklessly. It is a call to live more responsibly than ever before, to take responsibility for your own wholeness, to be a conscious steward of your own inner world, with its light and its shadow. It is the call to stop being a passive passenger in your own life, and to take the wheel with courage and awareness. The process begins with small acts of courage. Speak your truth in a small way. Pursue a creative interest you dismissed as silly. Acknowledge an angry feeling without judgment. Each time you choose authenticity over fear, you reclaim a piece of your shadow. You feed your soul. You take one more step up your own personal mountain. You strengthen the muscle of your own individuality. Remember the central truth. The gold is in the dark. Your strength is in the part of you that you fear. Your light is hidden within your shadow. Your potential is not something to be achieved out there in the world, but something to be uncovered within you. Stop running from the monster in your own inner story. Turn around, and you may find it is the guide you have been searching for. You have everything you need to begin this journey. You have the fear, which is the compass. You have the dissatisfaction, which is the fuel. And you have the choice, which is the key. The choice to remain in the comfortable prison of the known, or to venture into the wild, uncertain, and magnificent landscape of your own true self. So the next time you feel that flicker of fear when you consider your own potential, don't push it away. Lean into it. Ask it what it has to teach you. Recognize it not as a barrier, but as the gateway itself. For beyond that fear lies a version of you that is more alive, more authentic, and more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Beyond that fear is you,